Content, content, content. Everybody wants to make content. From big brands who can't really figure it out to your grandma who can't really figure it out. And then there's you. You want to make content. You want to make videos the right way. But how? What's up? My name is Andrew. You can call me Pooch. I'd like to welcome you to the Lessonly channel. I am really glad you're here. I'm making this video because one, I'm actually making it for a client. I was writing the script and I thought to myself, I've got to turn this into a YouTube video. And two, I've seen an influx of videos from TikTok and YouTube on how to go viral, how to hack the system. And you know what? What if you just want to make? What if you just want to create videos and make things that bring you joy? So today I'm breaking down how to make videos the right way. And by the right way, I mean simply improvising, experimenting, and then perfecting your approach. All right, let's get going. The most important thing, the thing that I do before I ever press record, set up here in the studio, turn on the lights, any of that, is to prepare. And I prepare by either taking down notes or writing an actual script. If I'm going for a more organic feel, if I want it to feel like a conversation, I'm not going to write everything word for word. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself one or two sentences to kind of lead me or good jumping off points for the video. Now, if I know that I'm going to be on a tight time crunch or if I just need to be more succinct, I do spend the time to write everything out. This helps me stay focused, to eliminate rambling, and to actually have a coherent conversation with myself and the viewer of the video. And yes, I did say conversation, we'll get to that later. Once I've prepared scripts or notes, the next thing I have to do is I have to adhere to a structure. Now, I do everything in 5-act story structure. And to be honest, that's way over the top. It really does work for me though, and how I like to tell stories. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. But if you just need to go ahead and ease into content creation, then I recommend following this basic structure. First, you need a strong intro that compels the viewer to stick around. You do this by using absolute statements, having a very intriguing topic, or niching down enough to know that someone somewhere is going to be interested in what you're talking about. Next, you've got to state the problem that you're trying to solve. Now, this doesn't have to be a philosophical or ethical problem. It could be as simple as, I'm trying to take 1,000 portraits in one day. That's a problem. I need to figure out how to do that. From here, I recommend going into more detail about the problem. Why is this an issue? Why does this need to be solved? And really, how do you plan on figuring this out? Next up, you gotta solve it. Achieve your goal, shine a light on the problem, and provoke people to conversation around how you solve this problem. And lastly, you're gonna wanna land the plane. You're gonna wanna conclude the video with your final thoughts, the aftermath of how you solve the problem, and then you wanna lead people to something larger than just this one video. So it could be a cause or a movement you're a part of. It could be a larger YouTube channel or a program you're trying to lead people into. Either way, your conclusion really does need to be connected to your overall video. And sometimes you don't even have to ask them to do anything. Simply end it, give it to them for free, and move on to the next video. All right, now that you've planned and prepped, it's time to actually go through your content creation checklist. So step one is to set your scene. Now, I know that not everyone has access to a studio like the one I'm in right now, so we're gonna go ahead and change up the setting. So here we are in my second bedroom. This is where I started. This is where I would make all of my content out of, and it does look a little different than it used to, but I wanted to make this as a familiar space as possible. You might be recording in your kitchen or a living room or another bedroom. Either way, this feels like the most familiar place setting that we can be in. In order to set your scene up well, there's a few things you're going to need to consider before you press the record button. And the first thing is going to be light. Where are your natural sources of light coming from within your room? A good rule of thumb is to always have your face point towards a window. That allows natural light to come in and light your face well. And quick side note, natural light just simply means the light from outside. It's natural, it's what our eyes are used to, so it's pleasing when we see it on people. The second thing you're going to want to consider is depth of your image. And what I mean by that is the depth between you and your background. Now, I understand that a lot of us don't have room to play around with when it comes to being in our rooms, but you can achieve depth by simply separating yourself from the background, sitting further away from it, or even angling your shot to have leading lines that communicate movement and action. And speaking of backgrounds, which is appropriate? Should you do a white backdrop, some kind of color backdrop, or should you have some props in it? And what I want to say here is really that is your preference. I personally love to use this bookshelf behind me. It's got coffee stuff, it's got camera stuff, it's got books that I read, essentially all of my hobbies and interests, and I feel like it communicates more about who I am in this scene. There's no hard and fast rule here, just choose whatever you feel like is going to best support the video you're trying to make. So now that you've got your essentials done, it's time to hit record. Once again, there's a checklist. First, do you want to shoot this vertically or horizontally? This right here, what you're watching, is horizontal. A lot of times the way that we view content on our phones is vertical. Think about where this is going. Does it need to be viewed on the phone? Maybe you want to shoot it vertical. Battery life, make sure your phone is charged, or if it isn't, plug it in and then hit record. Or if you're using a camera, have a charged battery already in the camera and have a backup on a charger ready to go. Next up is framing, and it's really as simple as that. Make sure you're in the frame. After you're framing, it's time to think about your audio. Audio can be tricky, but let me explain it like this. The closer the mic is to your face, the better it's going to sound. But what about if you're using your phone? Well, I wouldn't be too pressed because first and foremost, phones have pretty decent microphones. I'd say go ahead and leave about 1 to 2 feet between yourself and your phone when you're recording video so that it picks up enough audio and you're not having to shout in the room. You've now gone through your entire checklist. You've prepped well beforehand, you've checked out your room, you've made sure you're lit, and all that's left is to hit record. I know I just gave you a ton of stuff to think on, but please remember this will become natural the more that you do it. One final note, I know a lot of people can feel uncomfortable when talking to a camera. Remember when I said having a conversation earlier? Well, I want to talk about this a little bit more. In a lot of ways, when you're making content, when you're talking to a camera, you need to think about it as a conversation, as if someone is just intently listening to you tell a story. At least that's how I think about it every time. And if you're uncertain about how to do that, here are a few things to ease your fears. First thing is just talk slow. A lot of times people do ums, uhs, ifs. They don't quite know how to get their words out and they feel like they need to rush. Taking your time, as if you're having a regular conversation, eliminates the uhs and the ums, and also gives you time to process and actually articulate what it is you want to say. Next is have your script nearby. You can have a teleprompter if you want. I don't use one. I actually have all my words right here on this computer. And because of editing, you're not seeing me do this. Now, it does take a little bit of time to get used to maybe glancing at your notes and then coming back to the camera. So if you want to memorize it, please go ahead. It just takes a lot of time to do that. Everyone wants to create, everyone wants to go viral, everyone wants to do everything on the internet. But what I want is to help you make videos the right way. I want to relieve all the stress and the pressure of going viral and being marketable. And I just want you to be able to create what you love and what you enjoy. And if I can help you do that in a more efficient way, then we've won. If you want to feel less lonely on your creative journey, if you want to be a part of something that does not participate in the rat race that has become photography and videography on the internet, then you may want to subscribe to this channel. I'm here for you. I feel like you're here for me as well. So if you're looking for creative inspiration, tutorials like this, and just even creative philosophy and ideas that we can bounce off together, subscribe. All right, you got this. Take your time, enjoy the process, and get to making your content. And if you have any questions, please let me know.